What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Sharice, and if you're new to this channel, this is Amazing Vibes, and we talk about inspiration, beauty, and lifestyle. And today I will be discussing desperation and how you being desperate is causing you to be separate from your desires. But first, what I want to do is listen to some of these TikTokers. I also encourage you to show them some love on TikTok. Their information will be down in the description box below. And without further ado, let's get started.
You know the crazy thing about being desperate? You don't even know until it's too late. So I saw someone recently say something like, you shouldn't want anything that doesn't want you back in the same way or even more. And that really hit me. Because imagine you're walking through a desert for weeks without water, without food. And then someone comes along and offers you a tall, cold glass of rubbing alcohol. Chances are you'd probably take it because they look the same. I mean, after all, how bad could it be? You just need anything. You need something. So that's kind of what desperation looks like, right? Like when you're chasing for something and you're frustrated because you can't have it, you can't get it, but you're willing to take anything and everything just to get a little taste or a little piece of that thing. Crazy thing is, if you were in your sound, confident, relaxed mind, you'd probably be able to smell that rubbing alcohol right away and throw it right back in that person's face. There's an older version of you that would never accept this, that would never tolerate this, that would never do this. But with desperation, over time, when you really are chasing after that one thing, whether it's that person, whether it's that job, whether it's that opportunity, whether it's that relationship, it causes you to shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink and lose yourself just to attain a little taste of what you get. Like you start to settle. But I feel like there's always a little voice in you that knows that something isn't right, that you kind of don't deserve this, or deep down something feels weird. But you start to convince yourself that it's okay and that it doesn't matter, that this is the thing that you want and then you must have it. So yeah, that thing that you're thinking about right now, yeah, the thing that just popped up in your mind, ask yourself, is it worth losing your mind, your integrity, your values, yourself, just to have that? I like to believe in the quote that everything that I want wants me even more. And that is a powerful place to be in. Desperation can make objects seem larger than they appear depending on the mirror. What is this situation mirroring about you right now?
You shouldn't want anyone or anything that doesn't want you back in the same way, or if not more. Do you know how frustrating it is to chase after something or force yourself into someone's life or into a job or into a situation that God did not call you to? It's like trying to squeeze into shoes that are 2 sizes small, but you manage to get in, but you can't go the whole day with wearing those shoes because they hurt so much and they are so uncomfortable. And it clearly shows to everyone else that it doesn't fit you. You even know it doesn't fit you, but you want the shoes so much that you choose to wear them even though they're uncomfortable, but they're not for you. That's how it looks in the spirit when you try to force something to happen. When you try to force yourself into someone else's life. It's not for you. Let it go. There's more to come.
Here's a really hard-hitting quote, and I'm not sure y'all ready to hear it, but you need to hear it, because I know I did. You know how they say, don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry? Because what you're gonna do is grab something that you don't need because you're desperate and you're hungry. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to a relationship. You shouldn't go out there and actively start searching and desperately try to find something or find somebody to come into your life and have them come into your life and make you feel complete by them doing so. You need to work on your own self-love. If you're out there searching for somebody, you're gonna get desperate. You're gonna lower the bar to let people in your life that you would have never let in before. It's quality over quantity. You have to learn to be okay being alone. You have to learn to love yourself, because all people are in this world is a direct reflection of what you feel about yourself. And if you don't love yourself, I'm sorry to say it, no one else will. You're better than that. I believe in you.
Don't chase, don't beg, don't stress, and don't be desperate. Just relax. When you relax, it will come to you. Make your wants want you. Facts.
Let's talk about desperate energy. You know that feeling when you're forcing things to happen? You're pushing, controlling, and trying to will things into existence. A boyfriend, a sale, friendships, a new job opportunity. It all feels hard and forced and exhausting. And what's worse is the more you try, the more silent it gets and the less worthy you feel. Desperate energy comes from a scarcity mindset. You don't trust yourself and you don't trust the timing of the universe, so you try to control what's happening. You've got a white-knuckle grip on your life because scarcity tells you if you don't, you'll be alone, broke, and mediocre for the rest of your life. But here's the thing, when you build confidence and trust in yourself, when you make time for joy, and when you believe you are capable of handling big emotions and challenging times, you can let go of the grip on your life. You can surrender. You can trust that by putting one foot in front of the other, you'll get to where you need to go.
Desperation destroys discernment. You can't make good decisions when you're desperate. When you're desperate, every opportunity looks like a good opportunity. When you're desperate, every job looks like a good job. When you're desperate, every man looks like a good man. When you're desperate, every woman looks like a good woman. When you're desperate, every client looks like a good client. When you're desperate, it destroys discernment. It means you're operating with a belief that there's never enough of what one wants or needs. It is dangerous, it is unhealthy, and it is unbiblical, because your God is not a God of not enough. Come here. Your God is a God of more than enough. So we reject scarcity mindset and we embrace an abundance mindset. And when you have an abundance mindset and you're getting ready to walk through the door and God says it's not your door, you walk away and say, there's another one.
Have you ever felt immensely unattached to everything in your life? You know you're not the person that you used to be, but you also feel like you're yet to become the person that you will be. The Lord has kind of walked you through this place where He's literally stripped you of so many different identities, mindsets, beliefs, that you get to a place where you're very undefined. You're not affected by labels. Same things that used to ignite a passion within you or get you excited just don't really get you excited anymore. You wonder if you're on the verge of being depressed and why you're really here and what's the point of living, because there's no like depth to your existence. It almost feels like you're just existing. And I asked the Lord, I'm like, why bring us to that place where we feel so lost and so undefined? He said, you have to realize something. I've been speaking to your identity since the day you were born, and even before that. Your desire to hear it and walk in it is where there has been an imbalance. I said, Deanna, what I'm doing here is I'm removing everything that you added, and I'm bringing you to a place of desperation. A lot of people think, this is what he said to me, he said, a lot of people think that passion just comes from like, oh, this is like something fun I love to do. He said, but sometimes passion is ignited in a place of desperation. And he said, so I've brought you to a place where your spirit is surviving on my very next word. And what I'm doing in this place is I'm cultivating a sense of desperation from you. Now, we look at the word desperation like a bad thing, like, oh my God, she's desperate or he's desperate, and it makes you do crazy things. But the Lord said to me, he said, when I bring you to that place of desperation and then I speak to your true identity, you will run towards that thing, that title, that label, that whatever it is, with more fervency than you ever run towards anything in your life, because you know what it feels like to be undefined. And I was just like, he says, you wouldn't have done it the same way, because I've been saying that you're a generational breaker. I've been telling you to write the book. I've been telling you to speak. But before that, you had all of your labels. You weren't desperate enough. You weren't hungry enough for it. So I removed all that and brought you to a place where your spirit is desperate for the word, for the identity that is coming from my lips. We think like just good things are passion, but the Lord will put us in a place to where some kind of like mistreatment or somebody that's not walking in their identity, or somebody that feels like depression, it rules over their life. It like builds something in you to where you're like ready to go to war for this person. Like you will fight. You will stand up and fight and do whatever it takes to help this person reach freedom. And he says that's what it is. That's what I'm calling you to. But I needed to bring you to a place of desperation. So when I spoke, it went from your head all the way down to your toes. It didn't go in one ear and out the other.
Okay, so here's the best way to stop feeling desperate when you're trying to stay in that nice, delusional, high vibe energy. First thing I want to say is that this is completely normal, this like feeling of desperation. I've experienced it many times myself. You start doing something, you expect progress, you don't see it, or you don't see as much progress as you think you should have, and then you stop. So the key thing is, the number one thing to do is to stay consistent. Stay consistent even when you're not seeing results. Show up every single day or on the schedule that you've set for yourself, because eventually you will see the results. Patience, patience, patience. It's also all about the long game. You can't think of short-term results. It's going to take however long it's going to take, basically. Wondering every day, like, why isn't it happening? Why isn't it happening now? Why isn't it happening on my timeline? It's probably going to take a lot longer than you want it to. The second thing you should do is really stop comparing. Stop looking at other people. Just stop. You cannot compare your journey to somebody else's, even if that person seems to be doing a lot better than you and they're on the same path, because you are completely different people. But the reason we feel so desperate is that we see other people seemingly doing the same thing as us and getting much further along. And trust me, I know, I'm an actor. I have spent countless hours comparing myself to other people. Why have we had like the same training? We look pretty much the same, whatever, but they're doing so much better than I am. The truth is, they're probably comparing themselves to somebody else too. It's a pointless exercise. And this ties into my next point, which is just be impulsive. I think being impulsive is one of the best things you can do to combat this feeling of like desperation and getting stuck in that rut. You've probably heard of the 5-second rule. Mel Robbins talks about this, that if you have an idea and an impulse, if you don't act on it within 5 seconds, you're not going to do it. And by using that combination of not comparing yourself to other people and acting on your own impulses, you are going to create your own momentum. Last but not least, I would say move your focus to something else. This is so helpful because it will stop you obsessing, thinking constantly about this thing that you want, going over things over and over in your mind, living in your head when really you should be living in like your body and your impulses and your instinct. So try it.
There's this interview that I recently saw with the actress, comedian Leslie Jones, and she said that the comedian Cat Williams told her this. He said, once you let go of your desperation, you're going to blow up. So she went on to say, bump that, I'm desperate because I'm broke. This is the good part. Then he came back and said, you're not broke, you just don't have any money, but you got talent. Then he went on further to say, you need to start making your decisions from your talent, not your desperation. I don't even need to add anything else to that. I just wanted to share it so that whoever else needed to hear it can hear it. Now I need you to make it your business to stay healthy, be well, and take care of you.
Okay, so basically what we're going to be talking about today is how to deal with desperation when you're desperate for anything. This is some advice I can take myself, but it's a good reminder for people who also already know this advice, but they just need a reminder. So if you need a reminder on how to deal with being desperate for something, this is for you. Okay, so let's say, you're feeling really desperate for like a new job or a new car or a new piece of clothing you've been wanting or a new game or something of that sort. Okay, we need to take into account that we're not gonna get what we want if we're in desperation. If we're just like thinking about that thing all the time and we're like, I really want this, if anything, we're gonna chase that thing away and that thing isn't gonna come any faster. For example, let's say there's a game that you've been wanting and then every day you're checking to see if it's gonna come out earlier. No, like you already know the date, set the alarm, wait for the day and focus on other stuff, And then same with like, let's say a job or something, you're waiting to hear back. If you keep calling them every single day, I mean, you can call them, and after you can call them after a few days, but you can't like text them every minute and be like, text them every minute or call them every minute or send them an email all the time being like, hey, like, you see my job application, or hey, like, when will I hear back from you? Like, you need to give it time. You need to give it space for God to do his thing and let it happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not just that, but like, let's say you really want to be in a relationship or something. Like, you can't force that upon nobody, to be honest. Like, you really want a certain person. Like, what if that's not the person God has for you, What if it's not? And what if it is, but God isn't giving you that person because you're so desperate to have them in your life? You know, like, you need to give it space. Whatever you want in your life, just give it a little space. Give it time. Focus on other things. And then you'll forget you even wanted that thing. You'll be focusing on other stuff. And then when you least expect it, you'll get it. That job, that person for you, that game, that show. If there's a show that, like, if there's a show that you've been meaning to watch and it's like they're about to put on the next season or something, you can't obsess over it every day. But if you focus on other stuff in your life, then eventually that day will come and it might pass you. If you don't set an alarm, it might pass you. And you'll be like, wait, it's out already. And then with the job and all that other stuff, you won't know when it'll happen, but that's the best part. That's the best part about it.
You gotta stop being desperate. Desperation is the one thing that repels everything away. And I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but like, just think about it. You know, like when you have a crush on someone and they have absolutely no interest in you, but like the moment you stop liking them, they suddenly like you back. Or when you're scrolling on your reels or whatever, and then you come across like this influencer who like really, really wants you to follow them and buy their online course, like that desperation is giving its energy and you're just like not interested. I think the key to getting what you want is being detached from the outcome. So you really want big things and you work hard for it, but that doesn't mean you like cling onto it like it's your lifeline. So this is just a reminder to like kind of take a chill pill and know that you don't really need anything for fulfillment. Like find the fulfillment within.
While being on my self-love journey, I realized as someone that used to be full of desperate energy, I've come to realize that being desperate does not serve me. And quite frankly, it never did. It wasn't that I was trying to be desperate. It's because I wanted something so badly that I was just almost in a negative space. And I didn't realize that I was being desperate at the time. That energy repels what you want. It turns people off and people don't want to be around you. It causes you to be in a chasing energy, and whatever you chase runs away from you. And that's why when you are desperately wanting something, not only does it not happen, but the things that were happening or the things that were in motion, they begin to stop. Doors begin to close because it causes the opposite to happen. It causes things to come to a halt. And then you end up going into this cycle where you're trying even harder to control things. And then things just come to a standstill. And then you end up becoming very frustrated. And you're just in this cycle where you're spiraling downward. So the best thing to do is to release the control, bring yourself back to either a neutral standpoint emotionally or even a more positive headspace. So keep your thoughts positive, keep your energy or your feelings very positive, and just think about the things that you want. Just visualize the things that you want and continue to do that. Your mind will play games with you and it will make you doubt, and it will tell you that certain things aren't going to happen, but you have to press through and persist past that. And your 3D, meaning the real world, will also do the same thing. So you have to train your mind not to focus so much on what's going on in front of you and around you. And it's very, very challenging, but you have to look at it as if you're playing a game. Whatever you see in front of you that you do not like, you have to make sure that you are continuing to think along the lines of what you want to happen. So in the Bible it says, let the weak say I'm strong. So if you're feeling weak, you cannot speak to what you see, about what you see. You have to speak about what you want to see, regardless of what you're seeing. So I hope that helps, guys. If you continue to do that and stay persistent, you'll remove yourself from that downward spiral. Then you'll shift and transmute things, and everything will start to turn around, and then you'll start spiraling upwards and going into upward motion. And then the doors will start opening again. You'll start to get the things that you want, but it takes persistence and it takes time. That is what faith is. You have to hold the vision until you actually see it manifest in your life. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say for today. So if you like this type of video, just do me a quick free favor and click subscribe. That'll let me know to continue to make more videos like this. And until next time, just remember that you are so amazing and continue to vibe high. Bye.